To our dear parents and guardians, co-members of the faculty, Queen Anne staff, and our beloved administration and management, a very pleasant Sunday morning to all of you. Let me thank you first for giving us a couple of hours of your precious time to allow us to present to you the things that would greatly matter in the success of your children's academic year 2021 to 2022. As a reminder, please take note that you may send all your questions on our chat box here at the end of the presentations. Dito po sa Zoom na chat box natin. And we will be answering them later at the end of everything. And prior to we will also have our mandatory picture taking. So please look your best and give us your best smile later towards the end of the program. And also, for those of you who are watching via our live stream, you may also send our question via our Facebook page for Queen Anne School. And of course, to start our day right, let us all put ourselves in the presence of the Lord for our Queen Anne prayer.
The Queen Prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O Saint Anne, pray to our Lord, for that I may keep away from all darkness of sins and ignorance. Obtain for me a diligent and obedient spirit, quickness of apprehension, capacity of retaining, and the powerful assistance of God's holy grace, that whatever I may hear or learn may be applied to His honor and the salvation of my soul. Amen. Saint Anne, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Maraming salamat po for praying with us. And also to honor our flag and our Queen Anne institution, we'd also like to request everyone to please stand up first for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, elas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titig mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuyagan ang magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tulong sa simoy at sa langit ang pagkaw, ay tinatang tugla, tawid sa paglayang minamahal, ang isang ang matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may maghihinig, lupa ng araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ayan. So, maraming salamat po in being one with us in honoring our country and our institution, the Queen Anne School. So, to officially start our program, I'd like to give you the mother and very foundation of Queen Anne School, our very hardworking principal and directress, Mrs. Astor B. Atutubo, for her opening remarks.
My dear students, Queenian parents, faculty members, a pleasant day to each and every one of you. Last school year was a challenge for all of us. In the midst of an invincible enemy, we fought and fought harder until we achieved what was unthinkable then. Learners being able to adapt in the changing fortunes of time. With the help of our partners, the Department of Education and the local government of the city of Santa Rosa, we as a community strive to be a significant force in our quest to continue delivering quality yet affordable education. We as an institution never stop in addressing the needs of our students, parents, and stakeholders and providing ample care and understanding to cope up with the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, we remain optimistic of the possible learning outcome our children will acquire as we again embark on an academic journey anchored on technologies. And with the valuable experience we had from the previous school year, please be assured that Team QAS are better and stronger. This year, we had added into our family season and able academic consultant to boost the development of our faculty members. This year, 80% of our faculty roster are professional licensed teachers. This year, our facilities are being renovated, calibrated, and refurbished in anticipation of a soon-to-be face-to-face setup. This year, our sports teams are being prepared to uphold its mantra of failing to prepare is preparing to fail. This year, we will launch a One QAS student government, wherein students from Santa Rosa and Dasmariñas will act as one for the glory of the community, country, and God. This year, we will launch the first online school publication. There are many things to look forward this year, as many as the reason why we all should be thankful for the blessing of life. Dearest Queenians, I welcome you to school year 2021-2022, the breakthrough school year of Queen Anne School. Thank you very much, and I send to you my virtual hugs and kisses. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. God bless us all.
Thank you so much po, Ma'am Aster, for that very inspiring and exciting opening remarks for us. We are really looking forward sa pagbubukas po ng ating school year next week. And also, of course, this is one very important part of the program to introduce to you our powerhouse members of the faculty, staff, and administration. Here is our Director for Academics and Prefect of Discipline, Mr. Christian Noel Atutubo, or Sir Ian for everyone here.
Good day, Quinian parents and guardians. Let me introduce to you the members of the faculty and staff of Queen Anne School this coming school year 2021 to 2022. Starting off with the school administrators, we have Mr. Cesar A. Atutubo, the school president, and Mrs. Aster B. Atutubo, the school directress principal. We also have Mrs. Acer Vener B. Atutubo Reyes, the Director for Admissions or Registrar. Ms. Erin Venice B. Atutubo, the Director for Finance. Mr. Christian Noel B. Atutubo, Director for Academics and the Prefect of Discipline. And Mr. Michael Francis J. Reyes, the Director for Sports and Activities. We also have our education consultants, Dr. Socorro B. Escape and Mr. John Ray Depone. Members of the faculty and staff, we have Miss Paula Anjonica V. Bulatao, our preschool teacher. Miss Jane Moral, our elementary teacher. Miss Roslyn F. Zantua, elementary teacher. Mrs. Maricel D. Espeloa, our elementary teacher. Miss Larry Jane Liege, elementary teacher. Miss Gurley N. Mortega, elementary teacher. For the junior high school department, we have Miss Irma Hizarza, Mr. Kevin V. Giman, Miss Judith M. Relion, Mr. Jojo M. Manalo, our senior high school coordinator, Miss Renea Medina, Miss Monica Naperi, Mr. Mark Anthony Pelias, Mr. Mark Anthony P. Laguman, Miss Crisaline Jazel D. Pasilan, Mr. Albino M. Lee, and Mr. Frederick C. Macarubo. Members of the administration offices of Queen Anne School, we have Mrs. Lizelle Ann D. Enriquez, our LIS coordinator. Miss Anne Ferliza S. Celones, administrative staff. Mrs. Rowena A. Ilaw, our cashier. And also Mrs. Rosalita Calios. So that comprises the members of the administrators, faculty, and staff of Queen Anne School this coming school year 2021 to 2022. Thank you for listening.
Ayan, so thank you so much po, Ian, for that wonderful introduction of the faculty and staff of Queen Anne School. So next, to give you a glimpse of how we came to be the school that we are now proud to belong with, I have prepared a recorded video of an introduction and history of Queen Anne School. So ito po siya.
Good day, everyone, especially to our dear parents. Today, I'm going to share with you a few very important things about Queen Anne School of Santa Rosa and Dasmariñas. First, I'd like to discuss the student handbook. The Queen Anne School Student Handbook serves as a guide to all students in the performance of their roles as members of the academic community. It contains the school's policies on admission, academics, support services, daily routines, and standard operating procedures, behavioral norms, and measure of discipline. Students are expected to read and be familiar with all its contents upon receipt hereof. It is encouraged that the handbook is to be discussed with the class advisor and finally have the parents sign the return slip attached at the back of the handbook. The return slip containing parental signatures shall signify understanding and compliance with the school's rules and regulations. The student handbook has been framed thoroughly to meet the needs and challenges of every student's academic life. These rules and regulations are vital tools to ensure the development, progress, success, and harmonious relationship of the students with their peers, teachers, school personnel, and persons with authority. Where did the name Saint Anne or Queen Anne came from? Now, tradition refers to Saint Anne as the mother of the Blessed Virgin Mary, grandmother of Jesus Christ. Although not written off in the Bible, Anne is given credence in the non-biblical Gospel of James. Saint Anne was born in Bethlehem and married Joachim from Nazareth in Galilee. Joachim was a shepherd assigned to supply the Temple of Jerusalem with sheep for sacrifices. After 20 years of marriage, Anne and Joachim had no children. Once, when Joachim overheard ridicule because of their childless state, he is said to have gone to the desert and pled with God to give them a child. After a time of fasting, an angel appeared to assure Joachim that he and Anne would be given a child they were to name Mary and dedicate to God. After her birth, Anne and Joachim dedicated Mary to God at the Temple of Jerusalem. When Mary was 14, they betrothed her to Joseph of Nazareth, and so Mary's story continues with the birth of her son, Jesus, and his life on earth. The feast of Saint Anne is July 26th. Saint Anne is the patron saint of mothers and women in labor and minors. For the history of Queen Anne School, it was founded in 1994. The first location of Queen Anne School, which was formerly Queen Anne Learning Center, was at the residence of school directress Mrs. Aster B. Atutubo at Yacal Street, Mariquita Pueblo Phase 2, Santa Rosa. With an initial 48 preschool enrollees, the school was obliged to open its elementary course the following school year, which was 1995 to 1996, because of parents signifying support to the academic capabilities shown by our beloved school directors. By the said school year, enrollment for the preschool and elementary courses tripled to 120 students, requiring the school directors to rent the house beside the original location, thus giving more space for children to enjoy academic life. The following year saw the transfer of students from Mariquita Pueblo Phase 2 to new Santa Rosa homes. The school acquired a 2,783 square meter lot from the developers of the said subdivision to accommodate 200 students for school year 1996 to 1997. School year 1997 to 1998 was the year Queen Anne School first offered its high school department. It was also the year the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports gave their recognition to Queen Anne School. For many of you who was wondering what the school seal stands for, now your questions will be answered. First, the cross. The cross symbolizes the school's adherence to Christian values and teachings. The book represents the school's belief that it is one of the students' main sources of knowledge. The torch, embedded in the book, symbolizes its power to give light and truth in path directed by wisdom and faith. The atomic orbit denotes the existence of an ever-changing and fast life that every student will be facing in and outside the halls of Queen Anne School. And last but not the least, the banner, which contains the following: the year the school was founded, written in numerals, the Spanish word sapere, which means learning or knowledge, and of course, the Latin word virtud, which means virtue. Thank you all so much for listening today. Please be ready for our next speaker.
Thank you so much po sa pakikinig. And you may also be wondering what makes a Queenian. So we at Queen Anne School live by 8 core values that will be explained to us by our sports director and member of the Board of Discipline, Mr. Michael Francis Reyes.
Good day, Queenians, parents. My name is Michael Francis Reyes. Currently, I am the sports director of Queen Anne School, and at the same time, a member of the Board of Discipline of Queen Anne School Incorporated. Today, I am tasked to discuss with you the Queen Anne core values. Queen Anne core values are the very meat and substance of what our students would like to be. So without further ado, I will share to you our first Union core value. Critical thinking. Critical thinking adheres to the value of critical or adheres to the value for it clarifies goals, examines assumptions, discerns hidden values, evaluates evidence, accomplishes actions, and asserts conclusions. A Queenian critical thinker possesses life skills that includes observation, interpretation, analysis, interference, evaluation, and explanation. In this age where information is abundant in the internet, where people is now dependent on other people's posts, where the concept of truth has become so limited to people whom our children has idolized, Queen Anne School exerts a big amount of effort for them to be critical thinkers. We want our children to be inquisitive and resourceful in their own search of wisdom. That is why we encourage them to still have their physical textbooks, which we believe is the simplest and cheapest way to acquire knowledge. The internet, on the other hand, is also a great tool for their enrichment, but must be utilized with extra caution. Second is honesty. Queenians are honest students. They have a moral character that denotes positive and virtuous attributes such as integrity, truthfulness, and straightforwardness. After all, honesty is the best policy. If there's something in this world we want our children to achieve, that is happiness. And according to Christopher D. Connor, honesty is the easiest thing one can practice in order to be happy. It cuts through deception and knives its way through deceit and lies. Honesty leads to a fulfilling and free life. Again, as the saying would go, honesty is the best policy. Honesty is not just about telling the truth. It's about being real with yourself and others, about who you are, what you want, and what you need to live your most authentic life. Honesty promotes openness, empowers us, and enables us to develop consistency in how we present the facts. Honesty sharpens our perception and allows us to observe everything around us with clarity. Third value is integrity. Integrity, Queenians are consistent in their actions, values, methods, measures, principles, expectations, and outcomes. It is an integral part of Queenian character that is based on the supremacy of moral values. Ito naman po ang kapatid ng honesty. According to the dictionary, integrity is the practice of honesty and strong adherence to moral and ethical principles. As the school continuously helped establish the guiding morals and values of a Queenian, we make sure that they are being practiced consistently inside and outside the campus. Sa madaling salita, ang isang batang Queenian ay palaging nakadepende sa kung ano ang tama at nararapat. At sa kanyang palagiang ganitong gawi, siya ay nagkakaroon ng integridad bilang isang kasapi ng isang samahan, isang organisasyon, at komunidad. Fourth is loyalty. Students are made sure that they are faithful to persons, groups, causes, and most importantly, to God. In Queen Anne School, students are taught to be loyal not only to personalities. In line with their being a person of integrity, students are encouraged to be loyal to what they believe is true to whatever cause and beliefs they are into, as long as it does not cross the very thin line of fanaticism and extremism. For Queenians, that is loyalty. Next is discipline. Queenians are led to be students with self-discipline. Students respect persons of authority and the codes of conduct implemented by the school. Through this value, one is expected to learn the ability to rise up to occasions and motivate oneself. Ika nga, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. In short, discipline is all about knowing what should be done to achieve one's goal and aspiration. And Queen Anne School assures you will always be at the forefront in providing the necessary tools your children need in his or her desire to acquire knowledge and eventually fulfill his or her dreams. Next is respect. Students denotes a positive feeling of esteem or deference for a person of other entity. QAS respect can be seen through language, gestures, and actions. also means affection and admiration to something good or of any valuable qualities. Kabaliktaran po ng respeto ay inggit. Sa Queen Anne School, hindi natin hinahayaan ang isang bata na babalot ng inggit sa anumang bagay o katangian na taglay ng isa pang mag-aaral. Bagkus, ang mga ito ay kanya pang ipagmamalaki o kung maaari ay tularan. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything in mind, please feel free to click on the chat box, make your comments or questions, and we will answer them as soon as possible. Next is excellence. Queen School students always strive to surpass ordinary standards or norms. In everything they do, it is imminent in their character to be one of the best, if not the best. In every orientation I conduct, I always give emphasis on the value of putting excellence at the very top of every student's undertaking. In academics or sports, students are encouraged to be at their best. On the other hand, Queen parents are advised that students of Queen School are trained not to be perfect. Rather, they are trained to be always exerting their valuable best in every endeavor. Besides, nothing in this world is perfect. Last but not the least is nobility. Queen students acts, speaks, and communicate with class and nobility. Queen is a must. Queen must be classy by itself. Without a line of arrogance, a student carries with him or her a touch of pride and decency. Nobility, this is my favorite value of all. Here at Queen Anne School, children are taught to be noble in all of their actions, their use of words, and appearance. QAS, being a small community school in this part of the city, is not a reason for students to feel inferior in the presence of strangers, other students, persons of authority, so on and so forth. Again, my dear Queenians, dear parents, the core value that the school always share with its students are critical thinking, honesty, integrity, loyal, discipline, respect, excellence, and nobility. Lastly, it is ultimately your children that we as an institution value the most. Please be assured that the school administration, faculty members, non-teaching personnel, consultants, and external service providers will always be on top of their games to deliver the best possible learning environment and experience for your children. For your questions and suggestions, please feel free to send via the chat box and we will immediately answer all of you. Thank you and we welcome you to the new normal, Queen and School version.
Ayan, so maraming salamat po Sir Mike. And ngayon naman po, tungkol po sa mga bagay-bagay about finances and clearance, I am very pleased to present to you our very good-looking, kind, and generous Director for Finance, our dear Miss Irene Venice B. Atutubo.
Good day, Queen parents and guardians. I am Miss Erin Venice Atutubo, and I am the Director for Finance of Queen School. I'll be discussing the important points with regards to school tuition and fees. The tuition fees are to be paid in accordance with the schedule of payments set by the school. Monthly tuition fees should be paid every first week of the month. Parents are given the opportunity to choose several options regarding the mode of payment of the school's tuition and fees. Sa ngayon po, meron tayong cash option, monthly option, and also quarterly option. And recently, we added the pandemic option for us also to help the parents that are greatly affected of this pandemic. So for refunds, a student who transfers or withdraws in writing after the first week of their enrollment date and has already paid the pertinent tuition and fees in full for any length shall no longer be given a refund. For senior high school students with voucher, a student who withdraws or transfer in writing 1 week after their enrollment date will be required to pay the whole year fee in cash. Even we have these online classes or online examinations, signed examination permits are still required before any student can take examinations. Please take note also that reservation fees are non-refundable. So for student clearance, all students must complete their clearances before the final examination. All projects and requirements must be fulfilled before their respective deadlines. Students who did not meet the deadline will not be able to get the signature of the respective faculty member or staff. Only students with the signature of the accounting officer or the school cashier may take the final examinations. Students who have incomplete clearances will not be able to get their report cards and other documents from the registrar's office. For first semester senior high school clearance, students with incomplete clearance will not be added to the enrolled list for the second semester. Students cannot attend classes if he or she is not yet in the enrolled list. The number of days the student was not able to attend classes will be added as second semester absences as soon as the student has been added to the enrolled list. So if you have further question or you need further clarification, please message us in our official Facebook page, or you can also visit us in the office. So thank you for listening, and please stand by for the next speaker.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Erin. So ngayon naman po, another very important part of this program for today. I really hope ang mga parents po and our guardians would listen because this is very crucial in the success of our children's school year 2021 and 2022. I'm talking about the different learning modalities, and I'd like to call back our beloved Director for Academics and Prefect of Discipline, Mr. Christian Noel Biatutubo, to explain everything to us.
Good day, Queenian parents and guardians. I'm here to discuss about the different learning modalities offered by Queenan School this upcoming school year 2021 to 2022. Starting off with online-based learning. Now, what are the different tools that we are going to use in online-based learning? First one is we have vSmart. So vSmart is used for the delivery of lessons, instructions, activities, examinations, and webinar links. This is the main tool in Queenan School's online learning modality. Second is we have Zoom. Zoom is used for webinars, meetings, and on-cam activities. Third is we have Google Forms. Google Forms is used for examinations, quizzes, and other recorded activities. Fourth one is we have email account, preferably Gmail. It's used for submission of other activities. So Queenian parents and guardians, I would suggest that you create the email for the student so that you can you know the username and password, and you will be able to check anytime if the student is submitting the different activities required by the teacher. We also have QAS notebooks, which is from preschool to junior high school only. So notebooks are used for taking down notes and doing other activities. And we have QAS textbooks, which is from preschool to junior high school only. References for lessons and for activities and worksheets. Let's start first with the first tool used in online learning. We have vSmart. So vSmart is the main tool of QAS in online learning. vSmart is accessible from the website school.vsmart.ph. So please make sure that the student is accessing the correct website in order for them to access their lesson. There is also an iOS and Android app for vSmart, but I would suggest that you use the browser and go to the full website because some of the features are not available in the mobile app. There will be one vSmart lesson per meeting per subject. Links for Zoom webinars are also distributed to the students through the vSmart lesson made for that day. Teachers will make their vSmart lessons accessible to the students only on their scheduled time. For example, this is only an example. Science for grade 8. Okay. For example, the schedule is MWF 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. If the student log in to vSmart before 9 o'clock and try to access the lesson, he or she will not be able to open the lesson. It will stay there. It will say there, lesson has not yet started. So the student has to wait until 9 a.m. before the student can open the lesson. Parents can check in the enrolled lessons option in vSmart to check if the student is opening and finishing the lesson. Quizzes and examination links are also distributed to the students through vSmart. Okay, before we go to vSmart common issues and resolution, I will show you how to access vSmart and how to check uh, the the lessons in vSmart. So you will be sure, you can be sure that the students are studying their lesson through the website. Okay, so again, the website for vSmart is school.vsmart.ph. So this is the main page for vSmart, and the student needs to click login to be able to log into the website. So each online learning student in Queen Anne School will have their own vSmart account. So all they have to do is to type in the username and password and click sign in. Once they click sign in, they will be directed back to the homepage or the dashboard of vSmart. You will see here, if you click these options here, you will be directed to the different subjects and different levels for the vSmart account. For example, in grade 7 to 10, if they click that, there will be the mathematics subject for grade 7 to 10, English subjects, Filipino subjects, etc. But you don't have to navigate through the different lessons here. The student will only need to go and put the mouse pointer at their name on the upper right part of the page. So once they put the mouse pointer on their name, these options will pop out. You have My LMS, Enrolled Lessons, Messages, Profile, and Log Out. The student has to select enrolled lessons. So once they click enrolled lessons, they will be able to see all the lessons, the vSmart lessons prepared by the teacher, by which they are added as participants. So once they are added as participants, they only need to go to enrolled lessons and they will see the lessons prepared by their different subject teachers. Okay. For example, let's click this one, grade 7 science week 2, meeting 1. So once the student clicks the lesson, they will see here send message and resume lesson. Resume lesson because I opened it before already, but I was not able to finish the lesson. That is why in the progress bar, you will see that it is only 33% completed. So parents, when you log into the vSmart account of your child or your student, you will be able to see if the student finishes the lesson. Okay, so if in case uh, the lesson is not yet scheduled, or for example, it's not yet the schedule for that particular subject, it will not say here send message and resume lesson. It will say here lesson not yet started. Okay, so the student has to wait for their class schedule for that particular subject to start before they can access the lesson. So once we click resume lesson, okay, so the student will be able to see the lesson prepared by the teacher. Okay. So once they are done, all they have to do is says here mark as complete. Okay. They have to click that and they will be directed if the lesson is already finished in this page or if there is another page there. At the bottom of the vSmart lesson, you will see here resources. So the teacher will also put in the webinar link in this area for their Zoom webinar, or the link for Google Forms if they have a quiz or assessment on that particular day. So don't forget that the resources area here at the bottom of the vSmart lesson is very important because they will be able to see the webinar links and assessment links in this area. Okay, so once the student is finished with the vSmart lesson, all they have to do is to click mark as complete, and then it will say there student has finished the lesson or 100% completed, just like this one. Okay, so it will say there 100% completed. Okay, so that's how you can check the progress of the student in their different subjects through their vSmart account. Okay, going back to some vSmart common issues and resolution. First common issue is that the student cannot log in or they cannot log in. So before we contact the QAS tech support, there are simple troubleshooting steps that we can do so that we can log in immediately to the account. First one is that if the student cannot log in, they have to make sure that the student is in the correct website, which is school.vsmart.ph. Second one, if the student cannot log in still, make sure the username is typed in small letters. Okay? If the username has a capital letter typed in it, it will not work. So please make sure that the username is typed in small letters. However, for the passwords, passwords are case sensitive. So make sure that the password is typed correctly. Okay? So they have to be uh, they have to be sure on how the password is typed. If there are capital letters there, if there are numbers there, okay? So passwords are case sensitive. Next one is that if the student has the correct username typed in small letters and then the password is typed correctly in the correct website, then have the student contact QAS Tech Support Facebook page to reset the password. Okay, so all you have to do is to search for QAS Tech Support in Facebook, and we have a dedicated Facebook page that assists the student if they are having problems with their vSmart accounts. We can reset the password and generate a new password for them. Okay, so if the tech support already reset the password and the student cannot log in still, then there might be an ongoing outage or system or scheduled maintenance. If there is a scheduled maintenance in vSmart, so the teacher will give different activities through Facebook chat or Facebook group, so that the student still has something to do. Or they may also schedule an instant webinar. Okay. Next common issue is we have this message: the lesson has not yet started. If this message is appearing on the vSmart lesson and the student cannot log in or cannot access the lesson because of this message, here are the things that we can do. The student will contact the teacher and ask the teacher to check if the correct date and time is recorded in the vSmart lesson. This means that the schedule programmed in the vSmart lesson is has what do you call this? It's not yet that's the schedule by which the lesson will open. Okay, for example, the teacher programmed the lesson to open at 10 a.m. and it's just 9:45. Then this message will appear. So how about if the teacher was able to double check that the vSmart lesson has the correct date and time? What's the next thing that we can do? So the student should check if the date and time of their device is correct. Okay, if the date and time of the device being used by the student is incorrect, then the student cannot access the lesson. This message will appear. Okay, so third common issue is that the student cannot see the vSmart lesson made by the teacher. Okay, so the student is navigating vSmart and still he or she cannot find the vSmart for a vSmart lesson for that day. First thing that you need to do is to ask the teacher to check if the student is added in the list of participants. If the student is not added in the list of participants, that vSmart lesson made by the teacher will not appear in the enrolled lessons option. Okay. Second is that the student should check the vSmart lesson in the enrolled lessons option. So they don't have to go to the different levels, different subjects, and then try to look for their lesson for that day. So all they have to do is to go to enrolled lessons, okay? And the lessons there are arranged by date. So next tool that we are going to discuss is Zoom. So Zoom is the preferred program used for webinars. Now, even though vSmart has a built-in webinar feature, we still prefer Zoom because of its stability and also it's not that data consuming. Okay, excuse me. Webinar links are given to the students through vSmart. Only QAS students who chose online mode of learning are allowed to join the webinar because module-based learning is completely offline, purely offline. So therefore, only those students who chose online mode of learning will be able to join the webinar. Participants must be muted before entering the webinar. So teacher will select that feature wherein all the participants are muted upon entering the webinar to avoid disruption. Display name of participants should be in this format: last name and then first name, so that the teacher can check if there are unauthorized people that were able to enter the chat room or the video webinar. Students should be in complete and proper uniform during webinars. So we have three kinds of uniform. We have the daily uniform. We have the QAS green shirt, which will be worn every Wednesday, and then we have the PE uniform, the QAS PE uniform during PE day. Okay. Haircuts will be checked every month through webinars. For the boys, it should not touch the eyebrows and their ears. And then no hair color, no coloring of hair. Next, student will be only be unmuted when reciting or answering questions. For security purposes, students are not able to unmute themselves to avoid class disruptions. Okay, so that means if the student wants to answer a question or wants to answer a question or ask something for to the teacher, then they will use the raise hand function in Zoom. So once they click that, it will notify the teacher that the student is raising his or her hand, and therefore the teacher will unmute the students. The students cannot unmute themselves without the permission of the teacher. Okay, to avoid class disruptions. Cameras should be turned on at all times. Okay, uh, we we compared the progress or the performance of students in webinar with other students in other schools wherein they are not required to turn on their cameras. And the only way for online distance learning to work uh, is when the students are turning on their cameras, because if they know that the teacher can see them, and therefore they will give their full attention to the lesson being discussed. Okay, they are not easily distracted. Teachers will check and document the attendance of students during webinar every meeting. Teachers will document every violation if in case the student incurs one. So what are the possible violations? Camera is turned off, not in proper uniform, not participating, student is late, and student is absent. For habitual violator, even after frequent warnings, the third violation, teacher may disallow the student to attend webinar unless the teacher has talked to the parent. For example, after uh, even after some warnings given by the teacher, and then the student is still not turning on their cameras, by the third meeting, the teacher may choose not to allow the student to enter the webinar anymore unless the teacher has talked to the parent. The school may drop the student due to absences or after exceeding the maximum number of allowed absences in a school year. All interventions will be done first by the teacher or advisor concerned. With regards to attendance, it will be discussed later under attendance and punctuality. Okay, third tool that we are going to use are Google Forms. So Google Form is the preferred website used for quizzes, examinations, and other assessments. Link for the assessment will be placed in the vSmart lesson made for that day. Assessment will remain locked and will only be unlocked during the scheduled time. Teachers will manually unlock the assessment. For example, they have a quiz and the schedule of their quiz is from 10 o'clock to 10:30. So before 10 o'clock, if the student access the Google form for that quiz, it will say there that the quiz or the Google form is currently locked and to contact the creator of that Google form, which is the teacher. So if the teacher will only unlock the Google form at a particular time, which is 10 o'clock in my example. So from 10 o'clock to 10:30, the quiz will be unlocked. The student will be able to answer the quiz. And then at 10:30, the Google form or the quiz will be locked again. Results will not be automatically sent to the students after the assessment to avoid leakage. It is the student's responsibility to ensure that they have a backup if in case they encounter connection or device problems during assessment. Okay, so for example, they are having a quiz from 10 o'clock to 10:30, and then the student has a problem with the connection. Okay, with their internet connection. So make sure that they have data as a backup. Google Form is not really heavy on data, unlike webinars. So the student will be able to access Google Form easily via data. If in case the student lost connection during the assessment, he or she must contact the teacher during the scheduled time. Failure to contact the teacher before the assessment time ends means the student will lose the chance to take remedial assessment. For example, the student is taking the quiz, and the schedule of the quiz is from 10 o'clock to 10:30. And at 10:15, the student had a problem with the connection. The student needs to contact the teacher immediately before the schedule of their quiz ends, which is, in my example, 10:30. Okay, so if the student tells the teacher that they have connection problems, but it's already beyond the scheduled time of the quiz, then the teacher will not allow to take remedial assessment anymore. Okay, that's why we also use Facebook Messenger in communication between students and teacher, because the students can still use Messenger even if they have no connection. We have free data, diba? We have free data, or what do you call this? Yeah, free data, and the student can still use Messenger. If the student who lost connection was able to contact the teacher immediately, the parent of the student must contact the teacher within the day, only through video call, to confirm the connection problem. The teacher can then decide if he or she will allow the student to take remedial assessment. Text messages or private messages to the teacher is not allowed. Now, why only through video call? Because we want to make sure that it is the parent that we are talking to. Okay, so text messages, private messages, even phone calls are not allowed. Only through video call. Once allowed, the teacher can then schedule the date and time the student may take the assessment. Scheduling remedial assessments must conform to the rules stated in the QAS handbook. Okay? The teacher have the right to decide regarding this matter. Only QAS administrators, through a thorough investigation, may overturn the decision of the teacher. Now, next is we have the email account, personal email account of the student to be used for submitting assessments. Students should have a dedicated email account for submission of requirements. Student can make a new email account that he or she can use in sending other activities, so preferably Gmail. Instructions by the teacher will be given to the students on what to put in the subject field, the body, the deadline, and attachments of the activity that the student will send. So this is an example of some instructions placed by teacher in vSmart, wherein the student is instructed to send their activity via email. Okay, so even the deadline is placed here. The student has to follow the instructions made by the teacher so that their work will be accepted. Textbooks, which are from preschool to junior high school only. Even though summaries of lessons are uploaded in vSmart, students will still use the book for further explanation and discussion regarding the topic. Teachers will direct the students on what pages to read. For the activities in the book, teacher will tell the student to write their name at the top of the page of the activity, then answer the questions. After answering, student will take a picture of the page with their answers, ensuring that it is their name at the top of the the name at the top of their page is visible, and they will submit it via email. For example, I have a textbook here. For example, this one. So they have an activity and the teacher asks them to answer this. So the student will answer that activity on their book and they will write their name at the top of the page. They will take a picture of this page with their answers and send it via email. Please make sure that the name is visible. So why do they have to put their names on top? That is to avoid cheating. Okay, so it's very easy to share the picture with their friends, and therefore their friends will also submit the same image, not answering the activity in their text. If the answer to the questions in the book will not fit the page, teacher may instruct the students to use their notebooks to answer the questions and then take pictures of the notebook page, again with their name at the top, and send it via email. They may also instruct the students to use Microsoft Word in answering the questions, but first option will always be to place the answers in the textbook. For the notebooks, QAS notebooks are from preschool to junior high school, but in senior high school, the teacher may require the student to have their own notebook per subject. vSmart is considered as the blackboard in the classroom, so it is advisable that the students copy the lessons in vSmart to their notebooks. Okay, so last year I also required my students to copy the lessons in vSmart and then put it in their notebook. Okay, the following are the reasons why the student should copy the lessons from their vSmart to their notebooks. Number one is for convenience. So the student does not need to connect to the internet to study their lessons. Second is for health reasons. So the student does not need to read through their phone, tablet, or laptop when reviewing their lesson. So we lessen the screen time of the student when they have a copy of their lesson in their notebook. And third one is for retention and mastery of lesson. So it is proven that information is best retained if the student writes the lesson. Teachers may also ask the student through their parent or guardian to submit their notebooks after every quarterly examination. So it can be checked and recorded as an activity. Teacher will ensure that the notebooks be returned to the students within 48 hours. It can be picked up again by a family member in the school. All right, so those are the different tools that we are going to use in online-based learning. Let's now go to module-based learning. For module-based learning, here are the following guidelines. First one, students who choose module-based learning will pick up the modules from the school after every 2 weeks. Okay, and that will be on Wednesday. So every Wednesday, every other Wednesday, every 2 weeks. Okay. Modules contain the summary of lessons, activities, and worksheets of the students. Students will also be directed to specific pages in their textbook for their lessons and other activities. Module-based learning is purely offline, but sometimes there are some activities wherein the student is asked to create a video. For example, they have oral reading. The student needs to create a video and send it through email, or they can put it in a flash drive and submit it to the teacher when they submit the module. During examinations, test papers will be picked up in the morning and must be returned in the afternoon, which is 4 p.m. Because after 4 p.m., the school will be closed and no one will accept the test papers anymore. Examinations that are submitted late will not be accepted. Okay, so for example, we have 2 days, 2 examination days. So in day one, family member of the student will pick up the examination modules or the test papers from the school in the morning, bring it home, and then the student will answer it until the afternoon. Now, they need to return the test papers before 4 p.m. Okay? So, we are very strict with time. If in case the student fails to submit their examinations on time and the school is already closed, which is after 4 p.m., therefore, it will not be accepted anymore. Okay? So examinations are not allowed to be in the possession of the student for more than 24 hours. Okay, so those are the different learning modalities in Queen Anne School for this coming school year. If you have any more questions, you can contact us through our Facebook page. Thank you.
Ayan, maraming salamat po Sir Ian. I really hope na everything is clear sa ating mga parents. Now, I've noticed that there's already a traffic of questions from our parents and guardians. So, pansamantala po muna nating ititigil yung program proper in order for our admin and staff to address the questions that were thrown kanina habang nag-explain si Sir Ian ng sa modalities. So, Sir Ian?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am Nea, good morning. Good morning, parents and guardians. Regarding po the questions, para po hindi na magpatong-patong sa dulo at baka makalimutang sagutan yung iba. For old students, the students will still use their old vSmart account. If in case the student does not have access to the vSmart account, for example, nakalimutan na po yung kanilang mga passwords, they can contact us through the QAS tech support, and we can reset the password for them. But all students po, you will still use the old vSmart account. For the new students, may na-create na po ng mga vSmart accounts for the new students. If in case hindi nyo pa po nare-receive, you may also chat us in the QAS tech support or doon po mismo sa Facebook page ng Queen Anne School, and we can generate or create the vSmart account for them. Now, regarding naman po dun sa mga questions regarding the uniforms, I don't have the data here, pero available po ang mga uniforms po. Kung ano po yung ginagamit natin in face-to-face setup, which is daily uniform, QAS green shirt every Wednesday, and then PE uniform po kapag PE day, then we will start implementing that on the second year of ours face-to-face classes para din po ma-feel ng mga students, mas ma-feel po nila ang pagsa-study nila even though they are at home. That is the main purpose po of online learning, to simulate what is being done in the classroom and in campus. Para po dun sa mga sizes and uniform, just send us a message po sa Facebook page ng Queen Anne School so we can check in the office. Now, okay, siguro yun lang po. Pagdating sa mga uniforms po, contact our Facebook page, Queen Anne School, for vSmart problems, vSmart account. Old students will use the old vSmart account. New students, we will create their new vSmart account if in case they haven't received it yet. Okay po.
Sir Ian, may nakita po akong question from the parent of Tiffany Claire. Kanina raw po magre-request bali ng login account and password.
Okay, sa Facebook page lang po ng Queen Anne School or sa QAS tech support. Okay? And then we can create the vSmart account. Mabilis lang naman pong gawin ang vSmart account ng students. Basta ihanda lang po ang mga active email address ng parent o ng student kasi po kailangan po iyon when we are creating a vSmart account. Meron pa po palang isang question dito. Regarding video call to the teacher on the day if nawalan po ng internet connection, is it okay to disturb them while ongoing po ang class? Thank you. Valid question po ito. Good question. If in case the teacher is not answering through the video call and the teacher is busy, you may just record yourself and then send it to the teacher. The main purpose po kaya video call ang hinahanap po namin is to ensure na meron po talaga legit na connection problems, because even though in elementary and preschool wala naman po kaming mga problems dyan, pero we will apply the rule from preschool to senior high school. Sa mga higher levels po talaga, marami po dyan. Nag-oversleep, may exam po sila na 7:30, nagising ng alas 8:30, and then i-blame yung connection nila. So on our end, we also want our students to be responsible. Kaya po, ganun po. Hand in hand po tayo, parents and also the faculty and staff of Queen Anne School, para po ma-ensure natin na na-maximize natin ang online learning setup. Start na po ba ang class on Monday? Yes, ma'am. Start na po tomorrow for the online learning students, and for the module-based learning, magsa-start po ang pick-up nila ng modules on Wednesday. Okay po? So, na-address ko na naman po siguro lahat, Ma'am Nea.
Yes po, sir. Kompleto po. Maraming salamat po
Thank
for
you.
answering the first questions that were thrown at us. So, I hope malinaw po sa mga kinauukulan, yung mga nagtanong, yung mga sagot po ni Sir Ian. If, for example, there are still more questions na gusto nyo i-follow up, ilagay lang po ninyo ng ilagay sa ating chat box dito sa Zoom, or for those watching sa ating live stream, you can just message the page, the Queen Anne page via Messenger. At mamaya po, pagkatapos ulit nito, atin po siyang bibigyan ng pansin at atensyon. All right, so moving on to explain to us the grading system, we have our very own member of the senior high school faculty, ang akin pong colleague, si Ma'am Monica Naperi, para po ipaliwanag sa atin ito.
Parents and guardians, today I am going to discuss the new grading system of this school year 2020-2021. On this school year, we have two learning delivery modalities, which are the online distance learning and the modular distance learning. First, let us talk about online distance learning for elementary and junior high school. How does the student will be graded on this new grading system? Like before, the students will be graded based on the components of the grading system, like written works, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment. The components of different learning areas have different corresponding percentage. In math and science, 40% written works, 40% performance tasks, and 20% quarterly examination. In math and PLE, 20% written works, 60% performance tasks, and 20% quarterly examination. For languages, 35% written works, 45% performance tasks, 20% quarterly examination. For AP and ESP, 30% written works, 50% performance tasks, and 20% quarterly examination. For modular distance learning for elementary and junior high school, math and science, 30% written works, 30% performance tasks, 40% quarterly examination. MAP and PLE, 20% written works, 60% performance tasks, and 20% quarterly examination. Languages, AP and ESP, written works is 35%, performance tasks 45%, and the remaining 20% is for quarterly examination. How about in senior high school? Like elementary and junior high school, in senior high school, there is two learning delivery modalities, which are online distance learning and modular distance learning. The learning areas for senior high school, we have core subjects, specialized subjects, and applied subjects. Core subjects like mathematics, English, science, and Filipino will be taken by all of the students. Written works, 20%, performance tasks, 50%, quarterly assessment is 30%. The specialized subjects are those subjects that will be taken by specialization. Written works, 20%, performance tasks, 45%, quarterly assessment is 35%. For applied subjects, these are the authentic subjects that requires real-world application like research, empowerment technologies, and other subjects. So written works, 35%, performance tasks, 40%, quarterly assessment is 25%. For the modular distance learning, core subjects, instead of 20%, written works is 35%, performance tasks 35%, quarterly assessment is 30%. For specialized subjects, written works 30%, performance tasks 35%, quarterly assessment is 35%. For applied subjects, written works 35%, performance tasks 40%, and quarterly assessment 25%. Let us discuss these new grading components, or where thus the grades in written works, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment will come from. For written works, this is a synchronous class where the teacher provides a different activities for the students. Since we have 30 minutes on screen or the live webinar, the remaining 30 minutes will be given to the students in order for them to finish their assigned tasks like online quizzes, sit works, and homeworks. For the performance standards or performance tasks, this is synchronous where both students and teacher requires to be online at the same time. Like online recitation. For example, in live webinar, the students or the teacher asks question and the students answer. It can be online recitation, depends on the teacher. Online demonstration. Asynchronous, the researchers, projects. For the portfolio, these are the written outputs and other activities. For the quarterly assessment, it is asynchronous but with time pressure. These are the online quarterly examination. How to compute grades? For example, grade 10 English online distance learning. Name of the students, example, John de la Cruz. Since this is English online distance learning, written works is 35%. Suppose that we have 7 written works, the quizzes, sit works, and homeworks. These are 20, 25, 20, the total of 160 points. So John's score, 18, 22, 20, 17, a total of 145. In order for us to get the percentage score, which is 100%, add the all John's score, which is 145. Then 145 divide by the highest possible score, which is 160, multiplied by 100% is equal to 90.625. In order for us to get the weighted score, which is 35%, so the percentage score multiplied by the weighted score, which is 35%, is equal to 31.72. So out of 35% written works, John got 31.72%. For the performance standard, since it is English, performance task is 45%. Supposed to be, this is the highest possible score, 120 points. John's score is 100. So percentage score out of 100%, John got 83.33. Weighted score out of 45, John got 37.5%. For the quarterly assessment, for example, it is 50 item examination. John got 40 points. Out of 100 percentage score, John got 80%, and out of 20% weighted score, John got 16%. In order for us to get the initial grade of John, let us add the weighted score of each component. So written works, 31.72, performance task, 37.5, and quarterly assessment is 16, a total of 85.22. But it is not the final grade. It is only the initial grade. In order for us to get the final grade of John, we need to use transmutation table. This 85.22, when it is transmuted, it will become 90. So the grade of John is 9. So that's all for the new grading system of this school year. Please wait for the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Monica, for explaining to us the grading system.
Hello, Ma'am Nea.
Yes po, sir.
There are questions again na
Ayan.
i-address na natin before po
Sige po, sir.
mag-proceed tayo sa next part. Question po is, up to Saturday po ba ang class? Yes po, up to Saturday ang class, but every Saturday, it will completely be asynchronous or wala pong webinar on that day. So the student may just finish whatever activity na ibibigay ni teacher for that day sa time na lang po na available si student. So pwede pong matulog muna sila para naman po makabawi-bawi. Bakit po natin, why are we requiring the students to have Saturday classes? So that we can still meet the number of school days required by the Department of Education. Kasi if we do not, or if we do not put in Saturday classes, mag-extend po tayo ng 1 month or 2 months pa. Kasi nga po medyo napapahaba ang bakasyon because of this pandemic. But wala naman pong webinar every Saturday, but may gagawin po yung mga bata. Second question po is, uniform will be for the upper part lang po ba? No po. It will be complete uniform. Teachers will check the students yung pong mga suot nila. Okay? But this coming week, on the first week of classes, teachers naman po will not be strict pa when it comes to uniform, because we understand naman na meron pang mga parents na hindi pa nakakakuha po ng mga uniform because of the situation, yung mga ECQ natin. So, but the teachers will already check, but hindi po sila magiging strict pa. On the second week of classes, so that will be the start po ng pag-strict nila sa mga uniforms ng students. Last question po, meron po bang regular schedule of webinar and V-Smart activity per subject? If you will check po the class schedule posted in the Facebook groups, meron pong mga areas doon na naka-shaded or naka-colored. Those areas that are shaded and colored, yung mga days and time ng subject na iyon, that will be the day and time that the student will have webinars for that subject. Again po, yung naka-shade po at naka-color na areas ng subject nila, for example, science nila is MWF, and then dun po sa schedule natin, yung MW niya is naka-color siya, that means they will have webinar on those days. Okay po? Last school year, we only had one webinar per week per subject, but we noticed po na kulang po kahit po sa mga teachers that nagkukulang po sila sa time, hindi po nila natatapos minsan yung mga lessons. So mas maganda po 2 times po tayo magkaroon ng webinar para po ma-maximize natin ang online distance learning ng mga children natin. Another question po, uniform po, need po ba na naka-shoes ang mga kids? Yes, ma'am. Because our goal here is to simulate a classroom setup so the student will feel that they are studying in school. Kaya po mas maganda pa rin na naka-full uniform po sila para po hindi po nila ma-feel na nasa bahay lang sila, so magpapaisi-isi po sila sa pag-aaral. It is the children who will benefit at the end din naman po dito po sa mga plano natin po for them. Okay? Pag wala pa po ang uniform, ano po allowed isuot ng mga bata? Casual clothes lang po. Wag lang pong pambahay. Wag lang pong fresh from the bed. At least nakaligo naman po. Okay po? Alright. I think I have already addressed po the
Yes po.
new questions po. Thank you, Ma'am Nea.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Ian, and also to add to what Sir Ian have mentioned earlier, kasi po malaking bagay sa bata yung nakapaligo siya. Unang-una nagigising yung diwa niya, kung mapapansin niyo po. So, paliguin na po natin sila bago natin sila ilagay sa kanilang study corner para sa kanilang learning. So maraming salamat po ulit, Sir Ian. And of course, I'd like to bring back our Director for Academics and Prefect of Discipline, si Sir Ian ulit. Napakasipag po talaga niya. To discuss to us our school's code of behavior to be followed immediately by the discussion of the attendance, physical appearance, use of social media, and sanctions for violations. So, yung mga naglalaro pong katanungan ulit sa atin, palagay ko po dito sa susunod na i-discuss ni Sir ay masasagot na po. So, take it away po, Sir Ayan.
Good day. I am here to discuss about the code of behavior in our QAS student handbook. Please take note that the list of violations and the categories of violations will be discussed to the students during the students' orientation on the first week or in the first week of classes. Code of behavior in distance learning. Number one, students who feel violated and or being accused wrongly or have grievances against students, teachers, staff, or personnel must give their explanation to the class advisor or discipline officer privately via chat after immediately the incident. Number two, when asked to answer a question, a student must answer respectfully. Number three, students must observe the English only policy while in live webinars. This is excluding the subjects wherein the vernacular used is Filipino or Tagalog. Number four, student must perform and accomplish tasks in the time given. Students may seek clarification or ask help from teacher, classmates, or housemates, provided that the student will not ask for answers or ask another person to do the task for him or her. Number five, students must wear complete uniform while in live webinars. So we have three types of uniforms. We have the daily uniform, we have the QAS green shirt, which is to be worn every Wednesday. And we have the PE uniform that will be used during PE days. Number six, teachers will strictly follow the deadline set for every task. If in case an unforeseen event prevented the student from passing the activity on time, it will be the responsibility of the student to contact the teacher before the deadline. And it will still be the teacher who will have the final decision regarding the matter based on the evidences provided. Number six or seven, students' online logins and passwords must not be shared with anyone else. Number eight, students are prohibited from taking pictures and or screenshots of lessons, webinars, and modules. They must copy the lessons to their subject notebooks. Posting on social media and or sharing pictures of webinars, lessons, tasks, and quizzes, including modules, seatworks, and homeworks, and examinations are strictly prohibited. Number nine, students are expected to respect administrators, faculty and staff, and person in authority. Number 10, submission and pickup of modules will only be done every Wednesday at the QAS campus. In consideration of the current situation, only family member or guardian are allowed to pick up the module. It is prohibited for a student to ask another student to pick up modules for them. Are the students allowed to pick up the module? We will refer to IATF guidelines. So if the current quarantine status prohibited uh, children below 17 or 18 years old, or teenagers below 18 years old, to go out of their houses, therefore they are not allowed to pick up their modules. Number 11, during webinars, students must follow the rules and regulations set by the teacher to avoid disruption of lesson. Number 12, all students must refrain from quarreling, ridiculing others, fighting, or being accomplices to misconduct in and or outside the campus and online. 13, all students are expected to observe good manners and proper conduct in and out of the campus. For example, in churches, malls, theater, restaurants, and other schools, and online. 14, students must follow the class schedule. 15, during quizzes, examinations, or any written task, the teacher may request online learners to open their webcams while doing the activity. The teacher may decide not to give written exercise to a student who will not follow the instructions. Webcams or cameras may be requested to be turned on to avoid cheating. So this will still be dependent on the teacher. Okay, there are teachers that will ask the student to turn on their webcams or cameras during assessments, and there are teachers who will just ask the student to answer the assessment without cameras. Number 16, cheating in any form is strictly prohibited. Okay, please avoid sharing answers through social media chats or messenger, etc. Okay. 17, sections of every level are allowed to have one social media group chat that includes the students, the advisor, the subject teachers, and one QAS admin. This group chat will only be used for added discussions and questions regarding the lessons. Members of the group chat are responsible for their own messages. Students and teachers are advised not to have their own separate group chats to avoid any miscommunication and or to untoward incidences. Number 18, students must strictly follow the section Use of Social Media in the QAS Student Handbook and must not commit any form of cyberbullying. 19, students will stay in their chosen learning modality for the entire school year to avoid confusion in the end of students and teachers. And number 20, students who will violate any part of the distance learning rules and regulations will be dealt with accordingly based on the QAS student handbook. Now, again, I will discuss these violations and the corresponding disciplinary actions to the students during the student orientation in the first week of classes. Thank you. I will be discussing about attendance and punctuality, use of social media, physical appearance, and sanctions for violation in the QAS Student Handbook. Starting off with attendance and punctuality, all students who have incurred absences are held responsible for all work missed during the period of absence. A letter of excuse addressed to the principal shall be required before the student can rejoin the class. The letter must be prepared by the parent or guardian and must contain the following information: the student's name and section, date of absence, and the reason for absence. Failure to submit shall be dealt as stipulated in the schedule of offense and sanction. Please take note that a phone call, text, or private message is not a substitute for an excuse letter. Now, if in case the student is absent during the examination period or the examination day, please take note that there are only three allowable reasons why a student can be absent during the exam. Number one, a student a student was sick or is sick. It must be supported by a medical certificate. Please not a doctor's prescription. That is different. Second, if there is death in the immediate family. And third one, if the student has been summoned in any government institution. For example, a student is scheduled for an interview in the Department of Foreign Affairs for their passport. So that is an example. So those are only the three allowable reasons uh, by which a student can be absent during the exam. Other reasons will not be allowed. Only letters prepared by the parent or guardian shall be honored. Student will take a picture of the excuse letter and will be sent to their respective advisor for documentation purposes. A student who accumulates 40 absences or 20% of the total number of school days shall be dropped from the list of students. Now, if we are in online distance learning setup, a student can be considered absent if he or she is not present in the webinar, or if they have no scheduled webinar for that day if they did not submit any scheduled performance task for that particular day. A student who accumulates 30 to 39 absences for the entire school year will be asked to attend remedial classes during the summer to compensate for all the lost school days. Failure to attend remedial classes will result to the student failing his or her academic subject. Students are considered late or tardy if they are not logged in the webinar at the designated time. Student must be in the webinar at least 3 minutes or 2 minutes uh, before the start of the class. If they are late for 10 minutes, then the teacher may not be able to allow the student to enter the webinar because the teacher is already teaching by that time, and he or she is already preoccupied with the discussion, okay, and will not be able to attend to the list of participants. Any student who comes during the third period is to be considered absent. He or she shall present an excuse letter to the assistant principal or level coordinator before they can be allowed to enter the campus. So this is during the face-to-face setup. Number 8, a student who is absent during the monthly or quarterly exams must present an excuse letter and other required documents to the principal. Without the excuse letter, the student will not be allowed to take the exams. There are only three allowable reasons to take special exams: medical emergency, which should be supported by a medical certificate; death of an immediate family member; or any government appointment or summoned by any government branch. The student must also finish all special exams a week after the scheduled examinations. So all the special exams will be taken by the student a week after the scheduled exam. After the week, which is 1 week after the scheduled exam, the student will not be allowed to take the special exams anymore. Now let's go to the physical appearance. Number one, all students should be wearing complete uniform while on live webinar. So as I have mentioned before, there are three types of uniform. One is the daily uniform. Second is the QAS green shirt every Wednesday. And then we have the PE uniform during PE day. Female students are not allowed to wear makeup in live webinar. Male students are not allowed to wear earrings, chokers, and caps. Wearing of dark glasses and colored contact lenses are not allowed in live webinar. Unauthorized modification of any QAS uniform is strictly prohibited. On PE uniform, the students are required to wear the prescribed PE uniform when doing online activities for their PE subject. Please take note that Foundation Day t-shirts or any white printed t-shirts the prescribed PE uniform. Okay, so they are not allowed. On haircut, hair must be neat and well groomed. Male students must sport the prescribed school haircut. Hair must not touch the ears and eyebrows. Shaved head or semi-bald styles are also not allowed. Inappropriate hairstyle and coloring of hair are not allowed. Now, in the use of social media, Queen Anne School understands the importance of the advancement in technology and communications and the right of every individual to express their thoughts and opinion on social media as protected by our freedom of speech. However, Queen Anne School also teaches its students to become responsible netizens. Number one, as a responsible netizen, students should not be involved in any form of cyber harassment or harassment and or cyberbullying. Okay, so Queen Anne School is very strict when it comes to cyberbullying. If in case the student experience any form of bullying, please contact us, your advisor, your teacher, or me immediately. Two, students should not make or be a member of any fake pages or accounts. Number three, social media groups, pages, accounts, and chat groups that are using the name of the school or any of its affiliates without permission are strictly prohibited. Any student who make or becomes a member of such groups, pages, or chat groups will face disciplinary action. Students should also avoid making derogatory remarks, comments, posts, or tweets against fellow students, faculty and staff, coaches, or any member of the institution or the institution itself, whether directly or indirectly. Complaints should be filed at the Prefect of Discipline's office so it can be addressed appropriately. Now, for the sanctions for violations, now maybe you're wondering what are the violations that can merit these sanctions. I will discuss those to the students during the students' orientation. Number one, sanction for violation, we have oral reprimand or warning. Number two, issuance of written warning for minor offense. Number three, issuance of disciplinary violation report for major offense or series of minor offenses to be signed by parents or guardians and to be returned to the guidance counselor. For example, not sporting the prescribed haircut is under category B. Okay, it's under category B on the list of violation. So in the first offense, that will be issuance of written warning for minor offense. Yun kagad yung first disciplinary action. The second one will be suspension already. Fourth, for failing mark in deportment for the quarter. Number 5, suspension. So we have two types of suspension. We have ordinary suspension. Ordinary suspension means it prohibits the attendance in regular class but requires presence in campus. This includes community services. Okay, so if a student is suspended in an online learning setup, he or she will not be able to attend the webinar. Okay, and will be given a different task. So preventive suspension prohibits the student's presence in campus or in any school-related activity outside the campus. Now, in online distance learning, if a student is under preventive suspension, even his vSmart will be suspended. So the student will not be able to log in to his or her vSmart account. Number 6, prohibition from participating in school functions such as commencement exercises, sports, etc. A level 10 or a grade 10 student may not be allowed to participate in commencement exercise if he or she commits a serious offense under category C. Okay, it's not only the level 10 students but all the graduating students. For example, the grade 12 students. If they commit any serious offense which is under category C, then based on the handbook, the student will not be allowed to participate in commencement exercise. Number 7, disciplinary probation or strict disciplinary probation. This is a restraining measure imposed for 1 year on students found guilty of committing disciplinary infractions. It is primarily meant to help students develop self-discipline and improve his or her conduct. So we have disciplinary probation or DP. A student shall be placed under DP if he or she receives a conduct grade of 75% in any quarter in any subject. It shall only be lifted if the student gets a conduct grade of 85% or higher in all subjects in the succeeding quarter. Students under DP who gets a grade of lower than 75% in their conduct will be put under consideration for enrollment in the following year. And we have the strict disciplinary probation or SDP. A student under SDP shall be dismissed if he or she receives a conduct grade of 75% or lower in any of the quarter of the present school year. The SDP status shall be lifted if the student obtains a conduct grade of 87% in all subjects. 8. Dismissal. Dismissal is a penalty which allows the school to exclude or drop the name of erring student from the school rolls for continued disregard of school rules and regulations. Students who are dismissed by the school during the school year should still comply with all financial obligations before the necessary documents for transfer are issued. Part of the obligation is the full payment of tuition fees for the rest of the school year. Okay. This also includes students who are dropped. They are dropped from the list of students because of absences. So the student still needs to comply with all financial obligations before the necessary documents for transfer are issued. Okay. And number 9, expulsion is an extreme penalty given to erring student. This consists of exclusion from admission to any public or private schools in the Philippines. So this is the worst case scenario. So a student committed a very serious offense and then the student will be expelled. The student will be blacklisted in the Department of Education and will not be allowed to enroll in any other institution or schools in the Philippines. With regards to the anti-bullying procedure of Queen Anne School has developed procedures for addressing bullying. It will be discussed with the students during the students' orientation. How about membership in fraternities, sororities, and non-recognized organizations? The school neither permits the existence nor the formation in the campus of organizations which are not duly recognized by the institution. This include fraternities, sororities, and other similar organizations which are noted for their notoriety. Joining fraternities, sororities, and other unauthorized organizations, recruitment of members, and involvement in fraternity or sorority activities such as meetings are considered serious offense and thus shall be dealt with accordingly. Thank you for listening, and that ends my discussion about the sanctions for violation.
Thank you very much po for that, Sir Ian. Now, at this point in time, I'd like to request everyone, lahat po ng ating mga magulang, faculty, guardians, to turn on your camera for the mandatory photo para po sa compliance sa ating DepEd. Ayan. So, and then of course, give us your best smile. Ayan. Mga nagagandahan, nagwagwapuhang mga magulang. And then after po ng ating taking, we will be proceeding to the question and answer portion. Yan.
Alright, Atenea, siguro mga 3 times akong magte-take ng
Apo.
picture. Okay po, so hindi niyo po alam kung kailan kayo makukuhanan
Apo.
kasi random yan. So smile na lang po ng smile
Yes.
tayo. Okay?
Apo.
So first shot, smile na lang po. 1, 2, 3. Okay po, second. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, third. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yan. Maraming salamat po pakikiisa mga magulang. At ngayon naman po, I'll be giving the floor to Sir Ian para po sa pag-address ng inyong mga katanungan. Tingin
Yes
ko
po,
meron na pong isa.
meron pa po tayong mga question dito. Good question po ito. Do I still need to attend junior high school orientation kahit naka-attend na ngayon? Ma'am, if you will backtrack po dun sa chat natin here in Zoom, at the top, nandun po doon, sinend ko na po doon yung registration link or verification of attendance. And when you answer the Google form for the attendance, meron po itong part na pwede nyo na rin pong ilagay kung may mga kapatid po yung student na nag-aaral din sa Queen Anne, just indicate their name and their level para hindi na po kayo umattend in the afternoon at ma-mark na rin sila as present ng kanilang advisors. Okay po? Another question po regarding the uniform. Everyone po need is ang green uniform and PE uniform ng students. Please refer po to the schedule of your student which is posted on their respective Facebook groups. During the PE day, that will be the time that the student will wear the PE uniform. Okay po? Ayan, isa lang naman yata ang webinar nila. Need po ba talagang mag-uniform? Yes, ma'am. Last year po kasi, so it's a period of adjustment. Period of adjustment po because lahat po tayo ay biglang nilagay dito sa situation na ito. Okay? So to make things easier para din po sa mga students and the parents, we only require the students to wear green shirt for the entire week. But this year po, since naka-adjust na po ang mga students in the online learning setup and we want to maximize the distance learning, it will be best po for the students if they will wear complete uniform. Number one, in anticipation of face-to-face classes, and number two, mentally po, para po ma-feel ng mga students that they are in the school, which is better po for the students para po mas makafocus sila sa pag-aaral nila, because for sure miss na po ng mga students na pumasok sa school. So this is one way for them to feel that they are learning in a classroom setup, although virtually. Clarification po, schedule for webinar per subject is every day, or like previous year there is only specific scheduled subject. Just refer po to the schedule, whatever is the order of subjects in the schedule and their corresponding time, that will be the schedule for that particular day. If I'm not mistaken, it will be MWF and TTHS. Sila po yung pare-pareho yung mga subjects. For online distance learning po, in the event po of power interruption, paano po ang attendance ng bata for lessons and kapag exam? Alright po, we have naman po the kanina yung na-discuss natin, if in case po you had a problem with the connection, just the same po with power interruption. Hopefully po the cell phones are still working, so you can also communicate with the advisor so that the necessary adjustments can be made para po hindi naman po ma-zero yung students. We will be considerate po, but we will still follow the rules para din po maiwasan natin yung yun nga, yung hindi pantay na trato. We want to be fair, but we will also be considerate. Hope to consider the physical submission of the notebooks for online learners. Thanks. Yes po ma'am, if you notice po kanina, that will be dependent on the teacher. Okay po? And if in case situation po natin is different, alam naman po natin na we are located in different barangays and we are actually monitoring the situation of each barangay. Iba-iba po talaga ang situation ng pandemic sa kanya-kanyang barangay. May barangay na mga nagla-lockdown, may barangay na maluwag. Pero po, if that's the case po, just communicate po with the teacher and the teacher will be considerate naman with your request. Okay? If in case a teacher is busy and wala po kayong nare-receive na response, you can contact us through our Facebook page and for sure, we will address your concern. Okay po? Sir, about sa shoes ng mga bata, pwede po ba kahit anong shoes na lang? Kasi po mahirap na po bumili ng black shoes, di naman po nakakalabas ang mga bata. For the first week po, yes, we will be considerate po with regards po to the uniform. Kasi nga po, the situation right now is marami pa po ang hindi nakaka kuha ng mga uniforms, but for the second week po, kung ano po yung required natin, alam naman po natin na kapag face-to-face setup tayo, mahigpit si Kuya Guard. Hindi sila basta-basta nakakapasok, pati yung pagtatap ng ID ng mga bata doon sa system natin para i-text yung magulang, hindi sila nakakaabot doon. So ganun din po ang magiging rules natin kapag po nag-start na po yung second week of classes. If in case po talaga na wala pa po, hindi pa po nakakuha ng way para po makomplete natin, contact the advisor na lang po or the teacher. Okay po? And then tingnan kung pwede pang i-adjust ng konti. Kasi nga po, we will be considerate, but again, we will still follow the rules. Okay po. Dito lang po tayo talaga sa situation na ito, makakapag-adjust pa sa situation na to if we consider each other's situation. And Queen Anne School naman po is very considerate naman po when it comes to the concerns of the parents and especially the students. Okay po? Siguro po na-address ko na lahat, Ma'am Nea. ng mga
Po,
concerns?
sir. Opo. Meron pong nag-a-ask nung link para sa attendance, so I just private message na lang po si ma'am
Okay
para
po.
po balikan yung bandang taas.
Ay, Ate,
para po dun
Ate
sa
Nea,
atin.
if it is still in your clipboard, kung nakopy mo lang po siya, baka po pwedeng paki-send na lang po again dito para meron pong new link dito po sa ilalim.
Wala po, sir. Palagay ko pag hindi wala akong ability. Kanina ko pa po tinatry na i-copy paste.
Okay, sige po.
Gawa.
Alright.
Ayan. So,
Okay, ako na lang po. Okay
ayan.
po, dun po sa mga hindi pa po naka-confirm ng kanilang attendance, I will be... bakit ayaw?
Yan, send ulit ni sir. Tapos, sir, may pahabol po. Saan po makikita GC na grade 6 student?
As of now po, the group chat of every level ay hindi pa po nagagawa. Yung Facebook group lang po muna natin, yung means of communication. Doon naman po ilalagay ng mga teachers ang mga announcements po. Soon po, ilalagay na natin yung group chat kasi po meron pong mga late enrollees para po lahat ay naipasok na natin doon sa group chat. Hindi ko rin po makopy. Baka hindi function ng Zoom yun. So, backtrack na lang po at the top of the page, top of the chat function. Makikita niyo po doon yung Google form.
Ayan, mukhang may binibilin si ma'am.
Teka lang. Okay.
Uulitin ko po, dear parents, so kumbaga in as
Okay.
much as we'd like to have okay na po, sir?
Ay, last thing na lang po, Ma'am Nea, may handout or copies bang ibibigay for the topics discussed? QAS handbook po. The actual handbook po is available in the office. You can get a copy. Okay?
Ayan.
And also, since after this webinar, the full video of this orientation will be available dun po sa YouTube channel na nilalagay ko, which is Queen Anne School. Nandun po yun ang buo if you want to review yung mga pinag-usapan po natin today. Thank you po sa
isang parent.
Okay, na nag-send po ng Google form. I think this is Paul, my classmate in high school.
Ang galing.
Anak niya.
Teki si sir.
Thank
ayan.
you.
So, ayan, I think we have addressed all the questions. Sa mga may biglang maaalala po na gustong itanong, wag po kayo mag-alala. Parati pong online ang ating Queen Anne School na Facebook page in order for you to submit or throw in your questions and other concerns. Ayan. So, sa punto pong ito, atin pong formal na natatapusin ang ating programa for this morning. Thank you again, everyone, all our dear parents and guardians for taking time to listen to today's orientation for our dear parents. So, thank you so much. We look forward to working hand in hand with you para po sa ikatatagumpay ng ating mga anak for their academic year 2021 and 2022.
Okay.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po. Thank you, parents. Thank you, Ma'am Nea.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe
Bye-bye
and
po.
God bless.